A new report in the Wall Street Journal claims that Iran has been secretly preparing to escalate the war during the 60-day ceasefire and memorandum of understanding. Now, what's critical in that story is why they chose to do that. So let's get the whole story from Anna and find out.
The way that proponents of the war against Iran are talking about this report would make it appear as though, these super slimy, slippery Iranians pretending like they're engaged in a good faith effort to strike a peace deal with the United States, but secretly they were preparing for more war. In reality, the Iranians rightfully don't trust the Trump administration. And the 60 days in which this M.O.U. was allegedly in place, even though there were, breakouts in war throughout the 60 days, Iran was preparing for what they know is gonna come after the 60 days are up, more war against Iran. And so, what we've seen is they've been preparing in a number of different ways. Now, during the M.O.U., they were under the impression that the Trump administration only wanted to agree to the M.O.U. in order to provide a little bit of economic relief to the globe by allowing transit through the Strait of Hormuz, and for the United States to basically buy time to prepare for a bigger offensive against Iran. And I think they're right in predicting that. So yeah, behind the scenes, they've been rebuilding their missile capabilities. They've been rebuilding infrastructure that's been destroyed in US airstrikes against Iran. And I believe that they did the rational thing. They prepared for a possible escalation and continued war with the United States. So just to give you a few examples of what the Wall Street Journal has outlined here, Cenk, in regard to what they've been doing. Their hardline leaders have given the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, more control of the country's army. The IRGC has appointed hardened veterans of the Iraq War and passed internal crackdowns to key posts. They've expanded domestic counterintelligence operations, probably to see if there's any other Mossad agents, trying to stir the pot on the ground in Iran. And they've also ramped up missile and drone production. Iran has also expanded the war to the Red Sea, as we all know, with the Houthis blocking Saudi Arabia's transit of oil in the Red Sea. And Iran is rebuilding its infrastructure and restoring access to missile bases much more quickly than expected, a concern to Israeli officials, poor Israeli officials, who are familiar with the progress. It also has successfully targeted US bases and retains enough firepower to threaten ships and Gulf energy infrastructure. In fact, Arab intelligence officials have picked up evidence, including communications between Iran and militia allies in countries such as Yemen and Iraq, of a strategic shift inside the country's hardline leadership to get their forces ready to widen the war and raise the cost for the United States. Now, if you believe that international actors, various states are rational actors, what they're doing here is rational. This should be expected. I don't know why anyone is pretending to be surprised by any of this.
Yeah, so what I was gonna say, Anna, is how come I haven't seen an article saying, hey, during the ceasefire, did you know that the US and Israel were reloading and getting prepared for further war? And that the US has moved in now over 50,000 ground troops to prepare for a much broader war? Did you know that Donald Trump is now talking about using tactical nukes against Iran, and Israel's officials have also talked about nuclear weapons? Now imagine if Iran had nukes and then they were talking about nuking Israel or nuking America, and that we knew that they were reloading and reloading. You would get articles about Iran dangerous, destroying peace, like this one, right?
Yeah.
But when we do it, there are no such articles, because the assumption of the objective American media is, oh no, we get to do whatever we want. Of course we're gonna reload in the ceasefire. By the way, Israel has never followed the ceasefire from day one. They were supposed to withdraw from Lebanon. Instead, they took more territory. And so they also didn't follow the ceasefire in Gaza. But hey, they're allowed to do whatever they want. And by the way, who killed the peace negotiators? Iranians didn't, the Israelis did. So the Iranians are like, wait, let me get this right. You should reload. You should violate the agreement in every way, shape, and form, including bombarding the hell out of us for 12, 13 nights in a row. And we should just sit here and take it and you should murder our peace negotiators and our top 49 leaders, including the equivalent of our Pope, our top religious leader. and we should just sit here like suckers and wait for you to attack us again. I'm sorry, Wall Street Journal and America and Israelis, that we weren't the suckers that you wanted us to be. I guess we're so bad. You know who invaded who? We invaded them. They did not invade us.
We attacked them.
They would be utter morons if they weren't further preparing for the next stage of the war that Israel has promised. And the US is, I can't tell, golly gee, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna follow Israel's orders, because that is what you do 100% of the time.
And if there's one thing that this war has made abundantly clear, it's that the Iranians aren't stupid and are much more strategic than our media and our government would have you believe. And by the way, I mean, look, why would Iran trust the United States? The United States attacked Iran twice in the middle of peace negotiations. Surprise attacks.
Yeah.
The equivalent of a military sucker punch in the middle of peace negotiations. So Iran, in my opinion, is perfectly justified in building up its military capabilities in the middle of this, in my opinion, phony MOU. Now,
just real quick on that, Anna. So to the point of the surprise attack, picture this, it's 1 a.m., you tell yourself just one more scroll through social media, and suddenly you're spiraling over the latest political dumpster fire. That spiral doesn't just exhaust your mind, it actually spikes your internal body temperature. And when your body stays hot, you can never hit that deep restorative sleep. So the fix, it's not a meditation app, it's your bed temperature. Enter ChiliPad 2.0. It's a water-based mattress topper that gives you total climate control from 55 to 115 degrees. No new mattress, no hassle. It fits right on top, and water is the game changer. A fan just stirs hot air around. ChiliPad uses actively chilled water to pull heat away from your body like a heat exchanger. The new 2.0 has a quieter dock, a washable cover, and a remote that senses when you climb in and fires up your sleep schedule automatically. Sharing the bed? Dual zones let each side pick their own temperature. No subscription, no hidden fees, 2-year warranty, made right here in the USA. Visit www.sleep.me/TYT to get up to $255 off your ChiliPad 2.0 with code TYT. That's www.sleep.me/TYT. Free shipping, free returns, and a 30-night trial. The headlines will still be there in the morning. You might as well wake up ready for them. Now, what's greatly frustrates me about traditional media is, so we shared a story with you guys earlier about how they said, yes, the reason Iran hit a ship in the Strait of Hormuz in the middle of the M.O.U. was because we were using an unauthorized route through near Oman. And in the M.O.U, we were not supposed to use that route. If we kept using it, then Iran would have no leverage at all, right?
Right.
And we were in violation of the MOU. So Iran hit a ship or several ships going through the, Iran hit the ships going through the Oman route.
Okay, now pause. I'm gonna interrupt you now, because that is what happened. That is legitimately what happened. But this Wall Street Journal report tries to rewrite recent history and totally reframe this in an inaccurate way. So I wanna read that part to you real quick. They write, the MOU promised sanctions waivers to let Iran sell its oil, access to billions of dollars in frozen cash, and the prospect of a $300 billion fund to rebuild the country. None of those things happened, by the way. Iran's main obligation was to open the Strait of Hormuz to shipping traffic and then negotiate in good faith on its nuclear program. When Iran started shooting at ships the US was guiding through the strait 3 weeks later in early July, it caught the US by surprise. The very dangerous people from Iran, they're sick, said Trump, who also called Iran's leaders scum. There's something wrong with them. No, there's something wrong with you. They were trying to carve out an alternate route through the Strait of Hormuz in order to do away with Iran's leverage. You think Iran didn't realize that? So what did they do? What a rational state actor would do. They attacked the ships.
So this is why I get so frustrated with traditional media and keep telling you that they're doing nothing but propaganda, because they will report some of the facts and then go, my hands are clean. So that we read to you that from mainstream media, yes, it was us violating the memorandum of understanding and trying to establish the Oman route. Iran almost had no choice but to hit those ships if they wanted to maintain their leverage over the Strait of Hormuz, and without that, they don't have anything. And we're in violation, not them, right? Every article since then, collective amnesia. Every single mainstream media article frames it exactly like that and goes, Iran did a surprise attack. Sneaky Iran, violating the M.O.U. How dare they, surprise attack. Well, you're all lying because your own publications told us what actually happened earlier. And why do they do that? Is it the reporters? It's actually mainly the editors. The editors are the ones that enforce the propaganda. Okay, every once in a while we'll let the truth slip by because it's too awkward not to report it, but to tell the reporter, no, shut up and write the opposite of what's true. But the minute they report it, they're like, we're done with it. Never mention it again, and I demand all of you lie and write surprise attack by Iran. And by the way, look at the framing on the issue of like the internal dissent. Look, I don't like that Iran is continuing to prepare for war. I wish that they were more involved in the peace negotiations because I want peace. But we're telling you what rational actors would do on the American side and the Iranian side. They're acting in a very rational way, even though we might not like it, okay? But now when you look at the internal dissent, I hate the way they've cracked down on internal dissent before, and I don't want them doing that. And they have a religious fundamentalist government I'm not interested in. I don't want, okay? Having said that, they mention in a blip and then pretend it's all about oppression afterwards. They mention about, also the crackdown's about finding Mossad agents. The Mossad told you that they were in the streets in the protests against Iran. They said it publicly.
Yeah, Iran's got to find them.
Mossad was all over the Iranian government. That's why they knew when the 49 leaders were meeting. They've assassinated physicists. Some, by the way, involved in the nuclear energy program, which doesn't give you the right to assassinate them. That is a terrible war crime. Some not involved, but it doesn't matter. Just murder all the scientists in Iran because Israel is the terrorist.
Yep.
They're definitely the terrorist government, and Iran has killed no Israeli scientists. And if they did, the world would explode, and Jake Tapper would be screaming from the rooftops about how we have to murder everybody in Iran, right? But Israel murders scientists after scientists in Iran. Everybody goes, oh, that's totally normal. So the crackdown is to find the Israeli agents within the Iranian government. They admit it once, and then even within the same article, collective amnesia, crackdown, vicious, terrible people against dissent. And no, they're trying to very logically find the Israeli spies in their government, which I wish we would do.
I totally agree with you on that. I disagree with you in not liking that Iran is preparing for more war. And the reason why I say that is because I have absolutely no faith in any peace process involving the United States and Israel. It's just not gonna happen. First of all, Israel is too thirsty to expand its borders, and really, the costs that they've had to undergo in this war are nothing compared to what the United States has had to bear the burden of. At the same time, the US is a puppet of Israel and is not really engaging in the peace process in good faith. So the only deterrent that I see in this scenario is one in which the United States has depleted its military assets, including interceptors and missiles. At the same time, Iran has been building more drones, more missiles, which could hopefully serve as a deterrent from us re-engaging and reigniting kinetic warfare against Iran.
I understand what you're saying. I understand that's rational action by the Iranians. I'm just saying I'm rooting for peace. So I wish while they were doing that at a minimum, that they would more thoroughly, get involved in the peace negotiations.
How could they, Cenk?
No, they claim that Iran and Oman are actually working on a real peace deal. I don't know how the hell that's gonna work because we're not gonna agree to anything. I mean, and because this is all a game. We're all delaying until the Israeli elections because Israel controls everything we do. And so Trump has even talked about, reporting last week about how they're waiting for the Israeli elections. Are we also gonna wait for the elections in Papua New Guinea? Who gives a goddamn about the elections in Israel? And why would we wanna help Netanyahu? Netanyahu never returns the favor, never helps us, never listens to us, but we have to help him in his election efforts. Why? Why does no one in mainstream media ask the most rational questions? Why the F would we care about some pipsqueak country with 9 million people in it that is nearly completely irrelevant to us, except for the fact that everyone in media loves them and is loyal to them and is disloyal to us.
Right.
And goes, oh, Israel's so important. We have to murder everyone for it. We have to declare war for it. And you suffer in the USS Abraham Lincoln. Die for them. Give us all your money for them. Oh, I can't believe how evil Iran is. No, why don't you just tell us, yeah, of course, we're waiting for the Israeli elections because Israel controls the US government. It is obvious. Yep. But the minute you say it, oh, anti-Semite, destroy him for Israel. I mean, for America, because I'm so concerned about bigotry. Meanwhile, let's fund the genocide and the murder of tens of thousands of Muslim children, Arab children, Christian children. Who cares about them, right? Objective reporters.
You can't expect people hoeing for Israel to do the right thing and get us accurate information.
And that is 98% of US media.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.